Hi guys, it's Michelle Garcia. I'm a realtor with Windermere Coeur Realty, and that's in the beautiful city of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is the northern panhandle area of Idaho. I'm here talking with Cheryl Lantz. She's one of the owners of Vacation Rental Authority, and I'll let her introduce herself and what she does. And today we're going to be talking about vacation rentals versus long-term rentals, and this is for investors primarily. So Cheryl, say hello.
Hello.
Okay, so just tell us, give us a bird's eye view of your background and Vacation Rental Authority.
Sure. My personal background is in marketing. I worked with a lot of small businesses and helped them to grow their bottom line as well as their top line. And in 2012, started Vacation Rental Authority just for my love of this area, Coeur d'Alene. And I thought, how fun would it be to be able to tell people about Coeur d'Alene and why they should come here for a visit and vacation for a living. And so ever since, that's what I do. But I've learned a lot about vacation rentals, long-term leasing, and I have a real estate license as well since 2013. So that's my expertise. We service about 1,000 different guests and their parties every year. Wow. And we have about 60 properties that we manage full-time, and it's been just a great experience. So I'm glad to share my knowledge with anyone who might be interested in an investment property here in Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah, I'm excited to dig into this. And just very quickly, though, so if someone wants to look at your website while they're listening to this, what's your website address?
It's vacationrentalauthority.com.
Well, that's easy. Okay. And then now you run this with your hubby, right?
Yes, that's right. Robert is my husband, and his background is in project management and quality assurance. He was in the heavy construction industry for about 15 years. Okay. And so he has a strong knowledge of properties and how to care for them. But also since then, he's become an expert in several areas of marketing, including search engine optimization. So that's been very helpful to be able to really provide a lot of people the opportunity to come onto our website and book our homes that we manage.
Yeah, and I've seen your Facebook ads, and I've seen you have a presence there. So I think you guys are doing a great job with that.
Thank you.
So, okay, well, let's dig in. So we're talking about, as an investor, someone who might be interested, maybe they live here, maybe they don't. And, especially if they don't, it becomes even more important to know about these things. So if someone's looking at buying an investment property and they have an idea that, they want to do vacation rental, if you could give us color in some of the, picture for us, what are some of the key differences of vacation rentals versus a long-term rental?
Well, I would say in general that a vacation rental in Coeur d'Alene is going to be largely a lifestyle choice. If you are really interested in having, a beautiful vacation home here in Coeur d'Alene that you're going to be using, or your family, for a couple weeks a year or maybe more, if you're lucky enough to have that much vacation time, then a vacation rental is absolutely the way to go. You can supplement any expenses that you have, and sometimes if you pick out the right property, which you and I can help them find, then they can even make a profit on it. But there are a lot of upfront costs in terms of furnishing the house and making it really guest-friendly and a hospitality destination. So the long-term rentals is great for investing because we have a very strong rental market here in the area. I would say particularly if you can find a 4-bedroom plus, those are in very high demand. There's much more demand than supply on the rental market. And you can cash flow quite easily if you are in the right location and the right property.
Now, are you referring to long-term rentals there when you say 4-bedroom plus, or is that for both?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, to clarify, for the long-term properties, it's pretty easy to cash flow with a 4-bedroom plus. There are a lot of homes that are 3 bedrooms or below that can also cash flow in our area, meaning that you can make more money per month than your expenses are and have cash in your pocket.
Right. Okay. Okay. And we hear so much, though, about the vacation rentals and how lucrative it is in terms of income. So
Yes.
I imagine the long-term rentals, I mean, that's steady, but is the assumption right that the vacation rentals are like a cash cow? You know, you hear so many things about how much people are making in the vacation rentals.
There is a lot of revenue to be made for the right house. We have a large percentage of our managed properties that bring in the top line, $50,000 to $120,000 a year. So that's quite a bit of revenue, and I can see that that would be very exciting. It's very helpful for some investors who either need to put their money somewhere for a number of years or for cash buyers. And in that case, you can really have quite a return. So there is some truth, absolute truth to the fact that there are people making a lot of money as far as revenue. That being said, vacation rentals that are really successful are often quite a bit more expensive than the homes that are being leased on a 12-month unfurnished basis. So there's more expenses. Even if you pay cash for the property, you have to remember that you probably have outdoor amenities that need to be cared for on a regular basis, lawns, beaches, docks. You have to keep everything in really good condition with a vacation rental, hospitality quality. Where with a long-term rental that's being leased, there's fewer ongoing expenses because it's most of the care of the home is the responsibility of the tenant. With the vacation rental, 100% of the care of the home, upkeep to a high hospitality standard is the responsibility of the owner. So it's something to keep in mind. You're also maintaining furniture as well as different supplies like the kitchen supplies, blenders, toasters, coffee pots. So in addition to the main home systems, you have those items that need to be kept in good shape. So there's definitely some benefits. There's a lot of money to be made. It's just being smart on the exact home that is selected, which is why you and I are in cahoots, because we can really help narrow it down for the investor on which are the ones that are going to make the right amount of money for the upkeep.
Right. And what about those furnishings and the appliances and things? Does it, so, in a home that's, say, making this $50,000 to $100,000 or more, is it okay to kind of go basic on that stuff, or does it really need to be high-end?
That's a really great question, Michelle. It can be pretty basic. You want it to be, fairly new-looking, reasonable quality, but it certainly doesn't have to be high-end. And in fact, we recommend against furniture that is too high-end because it's more difficult to keep up and replace with a lot of use. So we're talking like a mid-range couches, maybe from the $800 to $2,000 mark. which can be fairly reasonable. And then also, you don't need to have a lot of furniture in the homes. Right now, in 2018, guests are looking for more of the clean, almost stark feel that a lot of hotel rooms have. Now, don't get me wrong, you still want to have some pieces to make it warm, but in the bedroom, for example, if you have a bed with a headboard and a footboard, 2 end tables, 2 lamps, and a dresser, you're pretty much good to go. If you can have a nice chair in there as well, it's a bonus, but you really don't need to have all kinds of extras in there. And the same thing is true for the living area. You really don't need to stuff it full with, hallway tables and extra ottomans and all kinds of things, because it can become more of a cluttered look. And that real fresh, clean showroom, hotel-type lobby look is what people are looking for.
And to me, when I'm looking, especially when I look at, say, something like Airbnb, I'm going to go travel somewhere. I actually just had this experience. My main thing is the cleanliness. So I'm assuming that's like top priority.
Absolutely, and it is one of the biggest challenges nationwide when I go to conferences where there are other vacation rental managers, and also when I talk to owners who have been managing on their own. Keeping these homes in hospitality clean shape is extremely challenging when you have new people coming in every week or every 3 or 4 nights, depending on the time of year. And the professional housekeeping companies have not quite pivoted yet to providing these hospitality cleans for vacation rentals. So they're not, it really is. There's an opportunity there for somebody, I'll tell you. And in Coeur d'Alene, that's us. We worked with a number of different housekeeping companies, contractors that are national franchises as well as local startups, and really tried to make that work. And in the end, we had to bring housekeeping in-house in order to really have that hospitality quality and the speed and efficiency, and also to be able to really react to the guests' concerns. What we found is that guests are looking at different things in the house than the owners are in terms of cleanliness. So, for example, refrigerators. This is an interesting thing. Originally, we thought people might like having some condiments and some, basic things in the refrigerator that could be used. And what we found is that guests felt that it was not clean to have some of those things. So in the past, maybe 10 years ago or so, the vacation rental guest basically was staying in someone else's house, and they really liked having those extras, like, a half jar of mayonnaise. That is not the case these days. It has to be. Yes, it does, but I'm telling you, that used to be the thing. And so now we have to make sure that it's 100% empty, the refrigerator. But owners, when they manage themselves, a lot of times they don't know. They're going off of the old expectations and can really receive some pretty tough guest reviews if they don't know those specifics that guests are looking at.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that brought up a few more questions for me. What about theft? So,
Sure.
How do you secure the owner and whatever contents of the home when you have people coming in and out constantly?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great question. Well, one of the huge benefits of being in Coeur d'Alene, where it's a relatively safe area, we still leave our doors unlocked as far as our car doors when we're parked on the street for lunch or whatnot. So luckily, security is less of an issue in Coeur d'Alene and the surrounding area than it is in a lot of the country. But I would say that we still take it very seriously, of course. So we provide keyless entry door locks for each house. That's something that we do at our cost because it's just so helpful to be able to update codes at a moment's notice and give each guest their code as they've signed their guest agreement and they're coming into town. So that's number one. And most of those keyless entries are self-locking. There are a few exceptions, and that's a whole other story, but if you are an owner that can have a self-locking door with a keyless entry keypad, I highly recommend that, and that's what we do with all of our homes. That allows for it to automatically unlock and be very easy for guests to access. You don't have to worry about losing a key, etc. We also make sure that only the guests who have already paid and signed the guest agreement have the addresses for the homes. That's a really nice thing to be able to do in our area. Some areas of the country have mandated the addresses to be posted on advertising even, but luckily that's not the case here, and so we do not provide addresses for people to drive by them prior to booking or paying and signing their agreement. There are a lot of things that we do for security, but I would say a third thing that is of note is really has to do with our in-house housekeeping team. And they are familiar with all of the homes that we do, which is another benefit of having them in-house. And they have a system and a very strong system of accountability that we've put in place to make sure that all windows and doors are locked and double-checked every time that they arrive at the house, and then when they leave as well.
Okay. And then I imagine, like, each owner probably has their own situation with security, like whether they have an alarm or something. And these days cameras are so just popular,
prevalent,
right?
Yes.
So is that a legal issue? Like if you have cameras on a home where people are, renting it basically?
Well, we believe that it's an ethical issue, so we haven't looked into the details of the legality of it. We recommend video camera on the outside of the house pointing at the parking lot. That is very helpful to know who's coming and going, to make sure that there's not partiers or extra occupants that weren't expected. But it doesn't violate privacy because our guests know that is that's happening on most of our properties. We do not allow any video cameras inside the house in any location for any reason.
Okay. Okay. And then, so some of our early conversations, I had been working with one of your gals, Nicole, and she's been great. I would constantly be asking her, what about this area? What about that area? So I had an investor who was looking at a home and or looking at an investment property and trying to figure out where they should buy. So can you kind of speak to, long-term is a little different. So I'm talking specifically about the vacation rentals. Can you speak to like what to look for and also what to avoid when people are looking at a long-term rental?
Absolutely. The first thing I would say is
short-term rental.
A short-term vacation rental, yes, absolutely. The number one thing that I would say that you absolutely have to look for is a realtor in the area that is really knowledgeable about vacation rentals. And Michelle is, obviously you're one of them because you have us as partners. It's extremely important because it is so house by house. It's amazing. Even a house that's next door to another house may not do as well. There's so many different factors that go into it. So this is extremely general, but you have to have an expert to help point you in the right direction. It can be a difference of tens and tens of thousands of dollars a year. One of the things that you're going to look for, one option is waterfront, and Lake Coeur d'Alene is prime for demand right now. in terms of waterfront. However, Hayden Lake is a really good option, and also the Spokane River in Post Falls or on the way to Coeur d'Alene also is doing very well for us. Now, one thing to keep in mind also is how you plan on marketing and managing the property. If it's going to be a waterfront property in any of those areas that are not Lake Coeur d'Alene itself, you'll definitely want some help marketing. They do well for us because we are attracting people who want this entire area, and a lot of times we get interest in Lake Coeur d'Alene homes, but they're already booked, and we're able to help them learn more about the area, and that the Spokane River is just as desirable, and that Hayden Lake has its benefits as well because it's less busy, so it's a great place to water ski and kayak, where the main lake may be more active and not quite as good in some times of the year for that. Also, Hayden Lake, of course, is warmer, so we're able to sell them on the benefits of the different waterfront, and therefore we're able to make them just as lucrative as the Lake Coeur d'Alene area. If you're doing it on your own, you may want to stick with the Lake Coeur d'Alene homes themselves.
Just because there's already so much marketing done around Coeur d'Alene? Is that why?
Correct. Yes, that's exactly right. Coeur d'Alene itself is becoming a destination where Hayden is not quite as known in areas outside of just our immediate area.
Right.
The Spokane River also, people think, I want a lake vacation, I want Lake Coeur d'Alene, and they don't realize that that the main area of the Spokane River in Post Falls and heading towards Coeur d'Alene is just as good as the lake. It has complete access to the lake, and you can have a beautiful beach and waterfront right there. If you have a dock that shelters the moving water a little bit, you could even have a really good swimming area right there on the river, which people who are coming from outside of the area don't know about.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So all they know is that Lake Coeur d'Alene is the place to come. So if you're not doing waterfront, I also was going to mention about downtown homes, but if you have a follow-up question, I'm happy to answer that.
No, that was exactly my question. So what if we're not lucky enough to be able to buy waterfront, right?
Yes.
Then
well, again, Coeur d'Alene is really gaining some momentum in terms of tourism, which is wonderful because we love bringing outside tourism dollars into our little community. Everybody that comes, goes to the grocery store and goes to the gas station and all those good things to help spur the economy here in Coeur d'Alene. So it is also very popular to rent a vacation rental downtown. That's a good place as well for the investor. In general, and again, this is very house specific depending on so many different factors, but in general, you'll want to be south of the freeway in order to really be considered downtown to an outsider or tourist.
Okay, so even that, now we're getting into the weeds a little bit. If you're familiar with the Coeur d'Alene area, there's kind of, like Harrison, between Harrison and Sherman, let's say, there's a fair number of homes in there. And then if you're south of Sherman, I mean, obviously that's nice. You're getting into like Sanders Beach area and that. But so are you saying to be downtown somewhere between that Harrison to Sherman area is still a good buy?
Yes, absolutely. It can be a good buy. I want to make sure I'm not stirring anybody, sending anybody in the wrong direction, because you can't just buy any property in that area and have it be excellent, but that's where you want to start looking. Okay.
So in that area, let's just focus on that for a minute. You've got, a lot of kind of medium-ish size homes, like, 1,500, 1,800, older homes, most of them, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of remodeling getting done. There's some renovations. There's even investors who are buying a piece of land, a home that's like awful and just tearing it down and putting up a new one, right? That's literally happening on a regular basis. So if an investor is not willing to do the full tear down and rebuild, what should they be looking for in those kind of older homes, or like should they stay away from the smaller ones, 1,200 square feet, or like what are some of the key things in that downtown area?
I would say if you can swing it, you want at least 3 or 4 bedrooms still. The 1 and 2 bedroom vacation rentals in our area, they can bring in maybe, around 10 to 20,000 if they're standalone homes per year, but they're just not in demand. We've found that most of the people that are looking for the 1 and 2 bedrooms are either staying in condos or in hotels in our area. So it's really the families that are coming that are looking for more bed space for their entire family to stay. So that's one thing. I would say that the main thing you're looking for is the ability to make it look clean, like you mentioned earlier. Even if it's older, that's okay. People actually really like staying in homes that have character. They just want to feel like it's clean. So if you can have some fresh paint, maybe just refinish the floors and some surface things to make it look really clean and fresh, you could have a great vacation rental. Another thing that I would look at is the systems and how old are they. So, for example, the plumbing and especially the appliances. These are things that people are going to be using on a regular basis. And in general, residential homes, they're not built to have the volume of use that some of these vacation rentals can have. So it's going to be expensive if there's a lot of things that might break from a lot of use, because as a hospitality type of situation, you have to have everything in the house working, and it has to be working all of the time. So if there's a plumbing issue, it's got to be taken care of, even if it's Saturday and there's some extra cost involved, unfortunately, with the plumber, then it has to be done then. So I would really say the longevity of the systems are going to be the most important.
Okay. And so that brings me to another point. I mean, this sounds like a lot of work, right? Pretty much, to me, if I'm doing this by myself and I have these homes, and especially if there's multiples, even if they're in the same area, like if people are checking in and out regularly, this sounds like a full-time job.
It really is. A lot of owners that decide to try managing themselves come to us after the first year just completely exhausted. It really is more work than it seems like it might be. You've got the marketing on the front end, responding to all of the people that are interested in your beautiful vacation home, negotiating on everything from pricing to check-in time, and then you've got all of the cleaning. And even if you find a miracle housekeeper that can help you with the housekeeping, you still need to go through with quality assurance to make sure that all of the aspects that the guests are going to be expecting are really top notch, or else you're going to get a late night phone call. You have guests checking in. You have to do all of the sheets and towels, restock the soaps and all of the consumable items like toilet paper, paper towels. So there's shopping involved as well. The laundry takes a lot of time. You may want to go to a laundromat if you're doing it yourself, because that's always surprising to people that it's one of the things that takes the most amount of time. We actually ship our linens and towels that we provide for the vacation rentals at our cost. We send them to Spokane to get professionally laundered, and it really, I don't know how people do it on their own, to be honest with you.
That's a nice
Thank
stuff.
you. Yeah, the guests seem to really like it. It's made a big difference since we implemented that about 3 years ago. When the guests are there, they have questions, of course, which is a lot of times the best part. You know, you want to answer questions about the house. You want to talk to them about what amazing things they can do here in Coeur d'Alene. And then, you know, there's checkout questions. There actually are some minor accidental damages on a regular basis, like you know, maybe putting a finger through a screen door, or some reason chair legs seem to be an issue, and so you know, getting those taken care of before the next guest checks in at the end of the day can be a real struggle, driving around or refinishing things yourself or replacing things. And what we do is we provide $3,000 of accidental guest repairs and replacement for each visitor in their group that comes. So each reservation has up to $3,000, and our team is able to go in there between guests and either repair the chair, replace the chair. Sometimes we have to replace all of the chairs at the table just to get matching ones. And we're able to do that for under $3,000, and the owner of the property, the investor, doesn't have to worry about those things at all. Of course, we talk to them about it and make sure we've got things taken care of as they want, but replacing a screen door, no problem. Even a broken window, which actually has only happened one time in the 5 years and thousands of reservations, but those things are able to be taken care of by our team. And if you're doing it on your own, I just don't know how people do it.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So for someone who is out of the area, it's impossible to I mean, they need to hire someone to do all this regular daily stuff. So if they're hiring you guys, what are your fees? How does that work? What kind of what do they have to do, the investor? Are they still keeping up on their own reviews and responding? Are you guys doing all that?
We take care of all of that. I would say at the end of this call, I'll let people know how they can get a hold of me for the prices, just because I don't know how long this tape will be on the internet. I want to make sure and give accurate, up-to-date information on that, on the pricing. But I will say what is going to endure is no startup costs from us as the managers. We provide the keyless entry, as I mentioned, the linens and towels and pillowcases and all those good things, the consumable items like the toilet paper, paper towels, all of those things we provide. We also do the marketing. We respond to all of those guest reviews. We do professional photography, clean the house and stage it. We do also, like I mentioned, respond to the inquiries and let them know about your house. Since we are local here, our reservation team is familiar with the houses that we have. They can answer all the questions directly and get people booked. It usually takes an average of about 2 weeks for a family to decide on a vacation home. It's actually a very personal decision that they make, and so it's nice to have someone that can walk them through it and talk to them, several times before they make that decision, and email back and forth. So we take care of all of that, everything that the guest needs. The investors and property owners never have to worry about a guest or talk to a guest at all, and we handle the reviews. There's quite a bit more that we do as well, but this is all at a percentage of the rental rate. So we make money when the investor makes money, and then we share the rental rate with them.
Okay. And you're handling 24/7? So if someone calls, they're lost in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. or something, you're handling those calls as well?
Correct. We have team members on call 24/7 to help guests in any way that they need. Wi-Fi, troubleshooting if necessary. Like you mentioned, if they for some reason are unable to find the house, we'll walk them through it. And those calls do come in, as you can imagine. The interesting thing is also that Coeur d'Alene has recently implemented some new regulations for short-term rentals.
That was my next question.
Was it? Yes, well, it's relevant to the 24/7 call because we actually do have the requirement now that you are able to respond within 1 hour, 24/7, to an issue. So we have someone ready to deploy at all times to be on site within that hour, and usually we're within a half hour.
Okay, so just go ahead and, if you would, kind of give an overview of what we're talking about, the City of Coeur d'Alene and the new regulations.
Sure. This is not yet implemented in the county, so it is only relevant to the City of Coeur d'Alene, and there's an application process and renewal each year that has been put into place. And there are a number of requirements, including having fire extinguishers in certain locations, checking smoke detectors on a certain schedule, and doing full floor plans and evacuation schedules, having those posted. We also need to introduce ourselves, or the investor would need to introduce themselves if they are managing themselves. They would have to introduce themselves to all of the neighbors and provide a 24/7 phone number to them in case there is an issue with noise or parking that's blocking the neighbor, anything like that. So those are the primary challenges that this ordinance is putting in place, and we're, at Vacation Rental Authority, we're taking care of all of those and walking owners through the steps. If they want us to take care of everything, we're doing that 100% as well, which most of them are having us do, including creating the floor plans and posting everything, introducing ourselves to neighbors, and it's pretty interesting.
Okay. All right. And that applies to just the City of Coeur d'Alene. So if somebody has a property that's maybe it has a Coeur d'Alene address, but it's not in the city, do those not apply?
Correct.
So in other words, I guess county. Okay.
Correct. We have been talking in the county, in Kootenai County, for quite a while about regulations. Robert and I go to a lot of those meetings with the county commissioners, and it is likely within the next couple of years that they will follow suit and probably adapt something very similar to what the city is doing. But at this point, we're waiting. And Hayden has been in talks as well. So it's happening around the country.
Coming.
So yeah, it's coming.
Okay. All right. And that's specifically for vacation rentals, not necessarily long-term rentals, right?
That's correct.
Those things. Okay. All right. And so we've talked a lot about the vacation rentals. Just give me, I don't want to go on too much longer, but give me kind of your idea of the pros and cons of the long-term rentals.
Sure. Long-term rentals they need to be unfurnished, first of all. We do get some people that ask us about furnished 12-month rentals, and there's really not demand for that. So unfurnished 12-month rentals. What's really nice is there's a consistent monthly income. You know what to expect. It's fairly predictable in terms of incomes and expenses. There are fewer maintenance items that are the responsibility of the owner, although there are still maintenance expenses for wear and tear on the homes over time. So the right purchase can really cash flow, like I mentioned earlier. They're a lot more prevalent, these long-term rentals that can cash flow compared to vacation rentals. Vacation rentals, as I mentioned earlier, are a little more of a lifestyle choice, and you can definitely supplement and sometimes break even. And on a rare occasion, if you find just the right property, you could cash flow in a vacation rental. But with the long-term rentals, you can cash flow on a much more regular basis in our area. The tenant has upkeep responsibility, as I also had mentioned, so that's very helpful. And if you pick the right tenant, or if you have a management company that can pick the right tenant for you, then you have much less turnover, so there's less attention required. It's kind of a sit it and forget it type of situation with your management company. So there's less startup costs, which is nice. You don't have to fill the home full of furniture and plates and coffee mugs and all those good things. Just nice, clean, ready to go property, and that's all you need.
Kind of turnkey, so maybe not as lucrative or to have the higher potential, but without so many of the daily possible headaches that could come. Right.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly right. Of course, with long term, you still have the risk of significant damage between tenants. That still happens sometimes, especially if the tenant has not been properly vetted. But you have potential lease violations, evictions. You may need to plan on some vacancies depending on who your management company is. At Vacation Rental Authority, we have a long-term rental division. It's called Action Property Management, and we guarantee less than 30 days until you have your new tenant. So when you first sign up, it's less than 30 days to your first tenant. That's going to be a quality long-term tenant for you. And then if you do have turnover, you will not have any more than 30 days, and we guarantee that.
And Cheryl, are you guys handling on the long-term, I know we talked a lot about the location of a vacation rental, but long-term rentals, are you handling like up into Rathdrum,
Yes.
Northern Hayden, Spirit Lake? What's your region that you cover?
At this point, we have an 80-minute radius. So we do cover up to North Hayden, Rathdrum, Spirit Lake, some parts of it. I think that might be a little bit far. We don't have any at this point in Spirit Lake, but we would be open to discussing management in those areas. Okay.
And that's for long-term, right? So
Correct.
One of the conversations just, that keeps coming up with long-term versus short-term is you're so much more open for long-term, right? Because it's just a monthly rental, month-to-month, or long-term lease. Whereas with the vacation rental, it was so specific about, well, how far out is it? And also people can't really, it's not like the vacation rentals are renting every day of the year, right? So I guess speak to that for a minute. How many? I mean, our season is the height of it is summer, but what should they expect if they're going to do vacation rentals? Should they expect year-round rent?
If they are waterfront, no. It's likely going to be high occupancy, at least for our customers, June, July, August. In June, maybe about 60% occupancy. In July and August, most of our waterfront is 90+% occupancy. And September, around 50%. The rest of the year is really very, very small, and we recommend closing most homes that are waterfront for the rest of the year. There are some holiday opportunities, but if you're anywhere, if you're too far from downtown, it's really more cost effective to close the home, winterize it. Downtown, though, there are opportunities for year-round rent. Most of our downtown homes in Coeur d'Alene that rent year-round are making about 50% of their income from May through August, and about 50% the rest of the time.
Okay, so if someone's wanting something not just for summer months, closer to downtown is important, is what I'm hearing you say. Is that right?
Yes. If you want and or need year-round income, you'll definitely want to be very close to downtown. We discussed south of Harrison, and I would say that's very accurate. It's better to have a carport or some sort of garage and be in that area for year-round income.
And what about these little communities that have like they're not waterfront, but they have a community park on the water? So either the river, like I'm thinking specifically about like what's it called, Riverside Harbor in Post Falls.
Oh, yes.
Harbor View Estates, which is a little further out, but like the Post Falls one, it's so close to everything, but you're not right on the water, so as a homeowner, you don't have all the waterfront taxes.
Yes,
do those make good vacation rentals?
Absolutely. The ones that are on the water side are going to be significantly better than the ones that are across the street in the same community but do not have a water view. So you want to keep that in mind. You still would want the water view, but we did have a home in Riverside Harbor before they sold. They were moving out of state, and it was a very high performer. It did very well, and so I do like that area quite a bit. The one that's a little bit further out that you mentioned, I believe that is free-flowing river there without docks. Is that accurate?
No, this is on the lake. It's not on the river, Harborview.
Oh, okay.
And they have, it's summertime only access to the water. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice community.
Oh, are you talking about Harbor Island? I'm sorry, is that what you said?
Oh, Harbor Island. No, but that's also a good example, Harbor Island. Yeah.
Yes. Harbor Island, we have several successful vacation rentals there, and I do think it's a good place if you get the right home. So that would be wonderful as well.
Okay. And just real quick, we haven't talked about daily or nightly or weekly rates. Like say Harbor Island, that's a good example. What would a just kind of 3 or 4 bedroom, decent sized home rent for in the summer out there?
Well, our prices are quite a bit higher than what competitors and self-managed properties are going for because of the value add concierge and hospitality and the known quantity that is Vacation Rental Authority. But for our properties that are in the Harbor Island area, you could expect anything from $395 a night in the summer months, in our peak months, to $1,200 a night. I haven't seen anything that'd probably go above $1,200 a night, but that's really substantial.
$1,200 for area. One night?
Yeah.
$1,200? Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yep, as you can hear, there's a yes, there's a big swing in price there because there is so much difference, from house to house and what their waterfront looks like and how many bedrooms and what their occupancy is, how many people they can sleep, and what the yard looks like and the amenities. And that's why you really need to work with you, Michelle, in order to be able to find the right property in order to make that kind of money. But absolutely, it's a market here in Coeur d'Alene where that's absolutely doable with the right team of realtor and management company.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay, well, did I miss anything? Is there anything we didn't cover that you think is important?
I don't think so. I mean, both long-term rentals and vacation rentals in Coeur d'Alene are. So I would say that it's important to know that there's pros and cons to both, but that depending on your situation, either one could really work well. Vacation rentals.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. I was just going to probably say the same thing. Vacation rentals are great for the lifestyle, being able to offer that to your friends and your clients and your family and be able to spend some time yourself. And there's no charge from Vacation Rental Authority if you're staying or offering your own home to someone that you know, or if you're looking for really that bottom line and an affordable investment, then long-term is the way to go.
Yeah, and it seems like it's just so much of a what the investors or the homeowner's situation is. So the long term to me is so appealing because it's kind of it's just not as much work, and you don't have to worry so much about the location being in the perfect spot. But at the same time, I mean, those nightly rental rates are very appealing, aren't they? But it comes with all that extra work or just hiring somebody like you guys. So anyway, well, I appreciate so much, Cheryl, you doing this with me, and I want you to tell people how they can get a hold of you and what's the best way to reach you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you can find us at vacationrentalauthority.com, or you can reach me personally at Cheryl, which is CHERYL, at vrahq.com. Our office phone number is 208-665-3728, and we'd love to talk with anyone about the pros and cons of our area and specific properties.
Nice. Okay, and you can reach me if you're looking for an investment property. My website is lakecdarealestate.com. I'm Michelle Garcia. I'm an agent with Windermere Coeur Realty, and I would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this conversation, give me some feedback on that, whether it's on my blog or on social, wherever you hear it. And I would love to chat with you if you're interested in real estate in the Coeur d'Alene area. The market is very strong right now for just regular purchase and also rentals, so whether that's vacation or not. So anyway, I think that's it. I think we covered it all. Thanks so much, Cheryl.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. Bye-bye.
Take care.